Exploring abandoned places can be a fun and challenging activity, but there are also times when urban exploring has gone wrong. These are three of the most terrifying stories that will make you never go out of your house ever again. Remember that very creepy scene in that one anime where a face was literally peeking out inside of a wall? Well, that one was in anime, but you wouldn't imagine what really happens if you come across one in real life. So there's this guy, let's call him Tyler. Tyler loves exploring abandoned places. He was some kind of urban explorer. One day, he planned to explore this mineshaft that was abandoned a long time ago. And it went well. He found some crazy things, he really enjoyed it. However, at that time, he didn't bring a good flashlight, so he couldn't really see some of the things in detail. So the next day, he went back to that same mineshaft with a better flashlight, but this time, he also got some friends with him. However, Tyler and his friends kind of got a slight warning not to mess about in the area, because immediately as they were just about to go in, the door, which was open a day before, actually got padlocked shut. But Tyler didn't give up. He wanted to explore, so he and his friends circled the place to look for another entrance. And they found one. It was right on the rooftop that led to the main building. So Tyler and his friends went in through that entrance and started exploring. Now these guys, they spent a lot of the time in mineshaft, exploring 3 floors below ground, and back to the main floor now exploring the garage. And this is where things started to take a dark turn. So Tyler was looking at these crooked metal walls when he noticed some light coming out of these cracks. So he got curious and walked closer to have a better look. And this is when he noticed a bright color that stood out from the rest of the area. And he found a living man looking at him through the cracks on the wall. He was wearing a blue sweater and he looked like he was watching the entire group this whole time. And Tyler was terrified. But he stayed calm and slowly whispered to his friends that some people were watching them. And they immediately stormed out of the place. They ran away as fast as they could, and when they looked back, there was that exact same man from the inside the walls, now with some other men who went outside of the place, likely because they wanted to catch Tyler and his friends. So they got into the pickup truck and drove nearby the area to look for Tyler and his friends. Now the guys were scared for their life, and they went to the woods without even knowing if it was safe. So they went there and hid in one of the bushes, but shortly after, the men in the truck came to the area. Now Tyler couldn't see them from where he was hiding, but they heard everything. From the truck stopping, the truck doors opening and closing, the footsteps of the men only about 20 feet away from him. But Tyler and his friends, they were breathing heavily after sprinting so fast, so they tried so hard to suppress their breathing to not make any noise. After 15 minutes of waiting, the boys didn't hear the sounds anymore, and they made sure that the men were already gone. So they went out of their hiding place and immediately went home. They never went back to that mineshaft ever again. Coal mining is often overlooked as one of the worst jobs on planet Earth. It's dangerous, you work long hours, and you sometimes are not sure if you can even go home safely. But beyond that, you might experience some very creepy things that just make you want to quit. So a guy who we'll call Jacob was working as a technical assistant at a coal mining company. And one of his jobs was to go into the underground mines and regularly retract coal, dirt, and air samples. Now, one thing about this job is that sometimes you can be completely alone in the underground because you'll be away from the other workers who are placed in different locations. So one day, Jacob was doing his daily mining, all quiet and peaceful. But then he felt something really creepy. So he felt like there was a certain energy or aura that was just roaming behind him. Like he could just notice it right away, like the heat was kind of rising, like it was getting hot all of a sudden. And the craziest part is, he felt it literally near him, even to his ears, as if there was something or someone that was trying to whisper into his ears, and the warm breath would literally make his ears twitch. Now, this time, Jacob was thinking that it could be just some of the other workers trying to disturb his work, but that definitely was not the case. The nearest worker was about 30 yards away from where he was, so there was no way he could have done that. Now, Jacob initially just tried to brush it off because maybe it was just the wind, the good old classic. But he quickly realized that also was not the case, because in the next days, he still felt the increased heat, and he definitely still felt like someone was standing behind him and trying to whisper to his ears. So every day, Jacob went to work with this disturbance on a regular basis, and there was nothing that he could really do about it. Imagine going into an abandoned house just trying to explore it, but when you walk into the closet, you see it was filled with scratch marks and blood. So this guy, who we'll call Ben, got a call from his boss to visit one of the houses that the police had seized from a local biker gang. And Ben worked for an insurance company, so his job was to assess the damage to further calculate how much it would transfer in cash. So this guy went to this house to have a look. As he arrived, he came across this house that actually looked kind of normal. It was in pretty good condition and there wasn't any serious damage from the outside. So it was all clear, and Ben decided to walk in to check the insides now. When he got in, he didn't notice anything weird or strange. He was just observing how the walls were painted white and the floor was made of plywood and it was painted dark red. He checked every room to measure them and it was all clear. There seemed to be no problem. But when he got to the closet, this is where things got crazy. Immediately when he walked inside, he sensed a strange vibe that caught him off guard. It was as if there was a lump of heavy atmosphere that created a really dark mood. And when he looked around, he saw a bunch of terrifying stuff. The first thing that he saw were plenty of these scratch marks deep inside, and on the back of the door, he saw some pretty big dents. Now, knowing this terrible condition, Ben immediately made a conclusion that someone was trying to escape out of this linen closet. But that's not even the worst part, because as he looked deeper, he saw just right at his head level a red splatter pattern on the back wall. And this is where it gets crazy. The red splatter was actually painted over with some white paint. Now, if we take all this information, the most logical conclusion as to what really happened would be that someone was trapped inside this closet, and the person who trapped them would then shoot him in the head, making the blood splatter over the back wall. And then he would try to cover up the whole thing using a white paint, so whoever comes inside wouldn't know that there was a murder that took place inside this closet. Like these stories? Comment below what you think and make sure to subscribe to get more stories similar to these. Also check out this video where we uncover some of the most chilling camping horror stories.